Gaming to go up against BLG in BLG's first matchup of the 2026 season. These two teams met in the Demacia Cup, did not have much success back then. We've seen Weibo bounce back. Now, will BLG be able to do the same? We'll find out as we're on to the Rift for game number 1.
Yeah, and my eyebrows are just immediately raised as we see that Xiaohu opts for the Flash Ignite here. We did touch on this in the previous series, that as mid laners, especially with these empowered recalls and with the home guards and with the speed of the game, you are able to skip out on the teleport a little bit in today's meta, but it's just so aggressive seeing that Xiaohu has the Electrocute, the Sudden Impact, the Scorch, and the Ignite. So he has everything he possibly can to do maximum damage in this early game tonight. So unfortunately for him, he did get chunked out a little bit with that W over the wall, trying to get a cheeky ward on the Raptors. I suppose BLG was prepared for that. They did their homework. And let's just see if Knight is still able to manage this laning phase. Another point in the draft to mention being that they decided to send that Ambessa blind up into the top lane to take the Jarvan, which is pretty interesting, and Bin is going to be on that counter pick Zahen. I do believe this matchup is somewhat even, perhaps a little bit Zahen favored, but that is one of the best champions. Typically, whenever there's a new champion introduced into the game, it's just pretty much better than everything that came out before it. So we'll see if that's the case for Bin up there today.
Even against a newer champion in Ambessa herself, right? She's
True.
only in the game for a couple years too, but Bin on the Zahen. Did not see too much success from Zahen in our last game from Sobero. Maybe Bin will be able to provide a little bit of a higher impact this time around. We'll say though, maybe a tougher composition to play the champion against when you look at all the dive and the assassination possibilities here on Weibo's side. Bin might have a bit of a tough time getting those stacks, getting to the revive unless he gets significantly far ahead in this laning phase.
Yeah, another similar story where the Varus is just forcing the enemy into an early recall. This one from Elk does seem to be a lot more of a reasonable recall timing than it was for Photic in the last series. We see Erha, he's trying to show that he belongs in this series right now with the way he's moving. You like to see that. Another interesting thing to touch on is with the introduction of the new quests. You could see in the previous season that if Yunara was really chunked out there, technically it would actually be a bit too early right now, but you could just run top or mid, but not anymore. It's so inefficient to not run to your primary lane. As top, you want to stay top. As mid, you want to stay mid. And as bot, you want to stay bot because you generate more stacks of the quest.
Ooh, Xiaohu going for an aggressive plan tonight, landing the flash chain, and JJ comes in as well. That's the mid jungle for Weibo, picking up first blood on Knight's return to the LPL in 2026.
Wow, and Knight's first game finally getting to perform and play alongside of his roster as intended, which he didn't get to in the Demacia Cup, just kind of taking a breather. He gets punished there, and that's exactly why, as the LeBlanc, you go all those early game runes, you take the Flash Ignite, you just have maximum kill threat onto Knight here. Unfortunately, as soon as this chain lands, you are just dead. You need to have a bit of a better flash here.
Yeah, Knight just thought that he would be able to get out of range, unable to do so. Perfectly chained crowd control, and JJ was in the right place at the right time to get Weibo on the board first.
Yeah, so JJ does end up picking up the first blood. Keep in mind, in the new season, the first blood is worth a little bit more. You do get that extra 100 gold. So that's where pretty much that 400 gold lead is coming from for JJ right now. But again, I want to say super well played by Xiaohu. He does sort of an E flash there after the distortion. It's pretty impossible to react to. You see that Knight tried to react to that, but it is very difficult. Xiaohu kind of gave Knight almost no counterplay to that death right there. And I suppose that's kind of what they had in mind for this draft. Pick the LeBlanc, play super aggressive, use the Jarvan alongside it, and they've just done exactly that, netting themselves an early game advantage.
So JJ, of course, had a lot of questions about his performance in 2025, was on IG to start off the year, ended up getting benched for Wei during Split 3, moves over to FPX for a little bit, doesn't find a lot of success there. Now on Weibo, a new team, a new approach, so far having a good set of early game skirmishes. And so off to a good start to this one. We'll see how the jungle matchup continues to unfold, as Shun was another player who had, I would say, a really good 2025, albeit not on a very successful team in JDG. But BLG was a team that really needed a jungler all year long. They finally get him back after, losing Wei halfway through the season. Now they get Shun back, who is a big part of their 2024 season as well.
Yeah, we see a few interesting things unfolding here. We're going to get to see this again. This is how the nature of the matchup is. You just want to be pressing
back
E.
into the tower, and will be able to get the solo kill as the Weibo mid laner gets punished heavily. But now in the bottom lane, it's Elk and Erha getting revenge on Elk's former bot lane counterpart, as On will go down to the 2v2 kill himself. We get skirmishing on the top side as well, as Bin's going in onto Zika, looking for a sort of play. Ultimate's already been popped. The mana is very low on Bin's side, and Zika's on the wrong side of the map. Gonna have to escape underneath the Tri-Brush and run back to safety on his own.
Yeah, I really underestimated the kill threat onto Xiaohu there. I was just going to touch on that's typically the nature of the matchup. Whenever you're playing Azir into LeBlanc, you're pretty much forced to use the E to go forwards. Every time LeBlanc distortions in, you kind of have to shifting sands in for that shield, for that trade, and we see here, he does have the Cataclysm, but he doesn't want to expend it onto the Nautilus there. But that's the main problem with this matchup is, well, let's take a look here. If Azir's allowed to do this, then it's a completely fine matchup, which is why you want to be hovering mid at all times with Jarvan or Nico. Because, again, the only way Azir can match these trades is by E-ing forward, and you can immediately punish that when Azir has no flash if the Jarvan or the Nico's there. However, Knight playing super well. He knew he was able to do that there, casting the Emperor's Divide backwards, using the tower as an assist mechanism to take out Xiaohu and take back his spot in this game.
Now we see down in the bottom lane a dive about to happen as Shun goes in with the Cyclone onto Elk. Chain of Corruption does not connect, and Viper will go down to the turret, but he will get another kill in response. Xiaohu, though, comes in, forces Shun to flash away as well, but Erha lands a Tangle Barbs of his own with a nice flash to pick up a double kill for Xiaohu, and it's 5-2 to Weibo Gaming in the early game of this first matchup.
Man, and that is exactly what Xiaohu needed to undo his mistake. He's completely well and away back into this game. And you want to know why that happened, Grapes? I think it's because the tower ranges are just slightly longer now. It's so much harder to drop the tower aggro. There is no way Viper was anticipating to take this additional shot right here. He flashes out, but he's still in the tower range, and he dies. I mean, maybe that one was not even that far out of the range, but the towers, they are unrelenting this season, Grapes. They are just going to shoot you even if you think you're out of the range. And this is a huge catastrophic error here for BLG. Xiaohu's going to be completely online all over again. And now Viper losing his flash and losing out on that play when they had the numbers advantage. Really well played as Xiaohu to come counter that play.
Exactly what you said. Get Xiaohu ahead, and all of a sudden Weibo are going to be looking pretty good in this game. Now the LeBlanc sitting at 2-1-1, down in CS, but has 4 stacks on the Dark Seal as well. Weibo Gaming able to pick up these Void Grubs, now look potentially for a play on to Bin. Has the ultimate at his disposal, but gonna get hit up with the public execution before he can even proc an R of his own. Erha the one to land the final blow, and Weibo are dominating the Rift here in game 1.
Wow, it looks like BLG is just not quite ready for their first game of the LPL regular season. Their performances across the board so far have not been up to par. I mean, even Knight's kill against Xiaohu, I'm not even so sure if that was Knight playing well as it was Xiaohu playing poorly. We just need to see BLG playing at the level that they're supposed to be. I mean, Bin not even getting the ulti buffer off there. He probably still would have died, but Shun was behind him. It could have mattered. And again, that misplay on the dive there from BLG, this is the type of stuff that can really come back to cost you. We're already seeing a practical 2k gold lead here for the side of Weibo. And the only champion who even has some sort of a decent footing right now is the Azir, which, to speak a silver lining, that's the kind of champion that you want it to be. If there's any champion that you want to have an advantage to kind of carry your team back into the game, Azir does have the most amount of agency possible to do so. So, I mean, at this point, we're all eggs in the Knight basket, Grapes.
Yeah, and you know what? He's made the most out of what is not the best situation for himself. Blinding the Azir, getting countered, and losing his early, advantage by getting killed by Xiaohu and JJ before 6. They've been able to get a kill back in response, get a bit of a CS lead, and still put himself in a position to succeed if we do get to some of these later game team fights in a relatively even state. However, it is not even right now. in terms of the gold department, as Weibo are now up 2,000 and now have also an opportunity to go towards this second dragon of the game. You see JJ already maneuvering towards it, vision being cleared around it, and also they're going to cancel this back of on, which is going to prevent that tempo from being fully in store for BLG.
Yeah, I mean, as the support, you probably want to get some more rewards here from the shop. You want to be able to light up the map a little bit more, and even getting interrupted there is just going to prevent him from having the tempo to do that. He does have the depth charge here, the Nautilus ultimate. That is one of the best ways to kill LeBlanc because there's just almost no way to lock that champion down. I remember when LeBlanc was more prominent in the meta, you would see Nautilus and Maokai as like the two main responses, just being those point and click CCs to help catch that LeBlanc. So we'll see if Xiaohu is able to maintain those Darksteel stacks he currently has. And we'll see if Weibo, with this 2k gold lead, is going to be able to push their advantage anymore. They did get the second Drake, but they're going to want to get a bit more. Remember, this Azir champion, once it's about minute 20, once he has his couple items, he's just going to be super effective, more effective than the LeBlanc. So we're going to want to see them push the advantage any way they can.
Yeah, because, again, even though there's some good scaling on Weibo's side in the Yunara, in an Mbessa here for Zika, a lot of what BLG are able to do well is play drawn-out team fights. And so what Weibo needs to do is be strong enough where they could just one-shot somebody like Bin before he gets the revive, somebody like Knight before he gets to have that full lethal tempo procced. And they're in a good position to do so right now, but they have to keep building on those leads, keep looking to find plays, potentially once again here in the mid lane. And Erha has made his way over to try and go for a play on tonight. And JJ is in the area as well, but they just forced Knight to use the shifting sands back as he's playing very defensive at this stage in the game.
Yeah, so something we're noticing here is the quests coming in. At first it was Zika, and then it came in for Knight. And both of those are mattering quite a bit. Let's see if this is more than just a Nautilus Salt. Unfortunately, it's a Nautilus Salt down the drain. JJ just buys some space, it doesn't matter. But I really like what Zika did there. As soon as he got that top lane quest complete, he teleported back with the upgraded teleport, which gives him a 30% max HP shield. And he used that shield to all of his advantage.
Ooh,
Meanwhile,
so low. Meanwhile, they got a fight here in the mid lane as the Pop Blossom goes on, and the Nautilus is immediately bursted down. However, Shun goes in with the Cyclone and makes it a trade at least of the support champions, being able to survive up in the top side as well as Zika unable to complete the dive up on the top side of the map. You can see both top laners using their ultis in that exchange, and now Bin will be able to get his teleport back to lane on his own as well.
Yeah, quite surprisingly here, Bin is able to be in a completely perfectly fine spot. He completes his own quest. Now he's going to have that 30-second huge shield as well, which probably won't matter nearly as much, but he was able to get back with the Trinity Force. Elk ulting in. It's answered by the ult from Viper there. That was pretty aggressive. But yeah, all the quests coming in for BLG so far. I really like to see. Let's take a look at these flash ults from these players here.
I wonder if Zika, or if Bin was able to somehow dodge the public execution with the ultimate of his own. Let's see. Yeah, he buffers it with the unstoppable, and that was enough to, I guess, allow him to escape. Nicely done by Bin.
Yeah, and then Bin throws out the W, trying to keep Zika under the tower. He was having none of that. Responded with a flash of his own, so that's both of the long cooldowns going to be on CD here for the top laners. And we see that Knight here already opting for those the Merc Treads, which again in this season as the mid laners, you want to buy the boots. You pretty much always want to have your boots upgraded by the time you complete your quest because it's just so much free value. And him having these chain-laced crushers every time that Xiaohu is going for a trade on tonight, he's just going to have like a 200 magic damage shield. It's just going to make him that much harder to punch through. And, you know, we saw that Xiaohu itemizing and opting for all of this, you know, early game power with the runes. You know, he's got the Hextech Alternator into the Ludens. He's got the Darksteel stacks, even the Ignite. Those chain-laced crushers in just being one item, Grapes, is going to help thwart all of that power pretty much. He's just going to be so much tankier as Azir here, so it's going to be really hard to take him out.
Yeah, you can already see a little bit of the value of that mid lane quest in Knight's hands, going for the upgraded Merc Treads, as you say, and not going to be able to be taken down as easily. And speaking of taken down, Zika going to Maybe in some trouble here as a Grim Deliverance goes forward for Bin, who's playing very aggressively right now. Lands the Q2, knows he has the revive, and that is why he's going for an aggressive play like this, waiting for Shun to come in and finish the job. Goes in with the Cyclone. Zika doesn't hit the ulti, but is able to gather enough distance to escape underneath his tier 2 turret.
Yeah, and the Knight TPing in here, this is actually really interesting. In the previous seasons, at this being minute 15, this tower would just immediately die with no plates. But the way it works is there's these passive on the turrets called Bulwark, which means the more characters near the tower, the tankier they are. And so that's why, even though you have 3 champions hitting the tower, it just takes that long to take it out because the tower is just even tankier. Wow. So they finally do punch through it, but that's a pretty big difference on this patch compared to the previous one. It's just how long it took them to take that tower out. So well played from Zika. He's able to survive from Shun's ulti there and Bin's aggression, but both the towers are traded here in the side lanes.
As well as these neutral objectives, most importantly for Weibo, this is going to be Mountain Soul Point secured for themselves. Think about the burst ability that they already have in their kits. It's going to be harder for burst to go the opposite way. Of course, if they're able to pick up some of these extra resistances. So 1,500 gold lead here for Weibo. It has dwindled slightly over the past few minutes, but they're still in a good position in this first game against BLG, given that they have this soul point. Up to the top lane, a little bit of a play on to Zika, who does not have that public execution at his disposal, and so Shun will be able to take him down with the help of Knight. Scoop and score here for BLG, but it'll come at a big cost as Xiaohu will come in and finish off the kill onto the Wukong with his Ignite. And now Knight's going to be in trouble as well as Airhall lands the Pop Blossom, and Weibo perfectly punished the BLG mid-jungle duo.
Yeah, it looked like the BLG mid-jungle duo there had a really good look there onto Zika, using the Emperor's Divide, knowing that Zika didn't have the ulti of his own to help get to the other side of it. That's the thing with Ambessa. You have all the dashes in the world, but you can't dash over walls. Guess what? The Emperor's Divide is a wall, so Knight created that terrain to trap Zika, but unfortunately for BLG, the response out of Xiaohu and Erha was just so beautiful. Look, you see Zika, he just can't get around them. He's just trapped with all these dashes. There's nothing they can do. But this response was so quick, was so clean. I love it. He goes in, he ignites the Wukong, makes sure he dies, and beautiful. He's seeing his ear. Before that passive, Disc of the Sun is going to even matter. That's a 2-for-1 trade, and that's definitely favorable for Weibo Gaming.
So Weibo getting back into the driver's seat after that play. Xiaohu now at 3-1-3, picks up the Luden's Echo, working towards that second item as well. Going to be in a really good position for an eventual soul fight if he's able to finish off that second item, have that Dark Steel continue to stack as well. Overall, Weibo Gaming, again, a lot of people expected BLG to come away and be that immediate favorite here in the LPL with the addition of Viper, but as you said, Foles, some of the growing pains that we might have expected from them, not fully online just yet, and again, just a testament to how impressive Weibo have been themselves, at least in the early part of the 2026 season.
Yeah, we see that there's technically a 7 gold lead, make it 8 for Knight, but across the board, it's gold leads for Weibo. They're just simply playing better. We have a bit of a fight here.
Xiaohu going for a big play onto Viper, chunks him to half HP, but now gonna have to play some fancy footwork, and he's able to escape and just break BLG's ankles. Knight goes in with the Emperor's Divide, and Xiaohu says, all right, I'll see you later, distorts right back to his team.
Now, honestly, I don't really hate to say it. I think this is why people have been criticizing Knight's Azir. He's one of the best mid laners in the world. We literally addressed the fact that he's the most winningest player in the history of the LPL. But for some reason, when it comes to Knight, he just can't seem to pilot the Azir to the same level to which he can on every other mid lane champ. And that's just such a random mistake. Like, there's no reason to be ulting a LeBlanc who has a free distortion escape. It doesn't tend to matter all that much here, but I would really say that does kind of speak volumes to his ability on this champion. And he was the one with the gold lead. He's supposed to be the one shining hope that there is here in this game state right now for BLG. And if that's what you're putting your hope into, you're going to want to have a little more optimism than that.
Yeah, I mean, Shun's made some nice plays so far. We're still waiting to see what Bin is going to look like in a full 5v5 team fight on the Sehen, but it's going to take a little bit more time for BLG to scale into a position where they're feeling really comfortable. And Foles, I don't know if they're going to have that time, because you take a look at the top left of your screen, it's 1 minute and 15 seconds until a potential Mountain Soul for Weibo, so that is going to be a timer that BLG are going to be forced into a fight. We see the Luden Zeko now completed, so on top of the Shadow Flame, I should say, for Xiaohu, so he's in a really powerful position, as well as Elk now at 2 items, a Proto Belt for Erha. This is exactly where Weibo want to be at this point in the game.
Yeah, and last I checked, Graves, it's apparently about a 90% win rate if you secure a Mountain Soul in any given League of Legends game. So if Weibo is going to be able to do that, that should pretty much just be all she wrote. So a whole game hangs in the balance right now for BLG. If they're able to control this terrain, if they're able to secure themselves this Drake, they must, by any means necessary, do so, or they are completely going to be gone, done, and dusted.
So you see Knight popping the Sun Disc right now, helping BLG generate some mid lane prio. But now we have Xiaohu pushing on the bottom lane, going to have really good positioning for a potential team fight. We also see Erha hovering, waiting as that melee minion, trying to generate as little attention to himself as possible, as Xiaohu does get spotted due to that Rift Scuttler being taken down in the bot side jungle, as Weibo are able to take down the Sun Disc, and the Dragon has spawned. Battle lines soon to be drawn, and Weibo and BLG soon to duke things out. See Erha still hovering around in that minion form, waiting for the perfect time to strike.
Yeah, you just have to control this area as much as you possibly can as the side of BLG, but it's so difficult with the champions Weibo has at any given moment. They could find themselves an entry point with the likes of the Nico ult, with the likes of Xiaohu going for a huge chunk onto one of the carries. They just have to keep preying on these mid waves and finding a way to start up this Drake for themselves, because if they keep dancing, Weibo's going to have it.
Ooh, Dredgeline connects here onto the Jarvan. JJ forced to flash away after utilizing the Cataclysm. Erha has the Pop Blossom, but only finds Shun, who's able to flash away himself. Xiaohu never really got a chance to get into the backline. He has to get himself out of there himself. And that means that BLG able to survive the initial assault of Weibo, with Zika and Elk now pushing down the mid lane to try to get some chip damage onto the tier 1 turret. Shun has started up this dragon, and it should be pretty easy for BLG to finish it off and deny the soul. But JJ still waiting,
50-50.
still hunting to try to go for a bit of a steal. He does have his smite. Into the pit they go. Here's the big burst. Here's the play. Elk already gets the kill onto On, and it's the soul not secured by the side of Weibo. Grim Deliverance in here for Bin, and Knight's flashing over the wall to try to finish off some kills onto Weibo's side. Bin flashes in, gets the kill onto Zika, but on the backside of things, it's Elk picking one back up in response. Xiaohu and Erha still alive. It's still a 2v2 with them against Knight and Xiaohu, but Knight now feeling confident enough to flash forward, dash in onto Xiaohu, and allow the Weibo mid laner to flee. BLG deny the soul, and they'll win the team fight on top of it. It's a 3-for-3 overall.
And this is what makes the best teams in the world great, is when they're able to do the most clutch possible things that they can. I mean, you have to understand, there was about a 50% chance they just completely lost the whole game there. If Weibo is able to secure this soul, this fight transpires so differently. That's like an extra 1,500 HP worth of shields they would have gotten, and you can only imagine the difference that would have made. But not only does Shun step up and secure the smite, the rest of BLG clutches up in ways of their own. Every single member of BLG was able to clutch this up. Even though Viper does get taken out here in the backside of this fight, BLG has the last laugh, and they needed to clutch this, and they did so. That's what makes the good teams great.
And a big step up for Bin in that team fight as well. Finally getting online, finding a perfect knock-up here. And just a really good engage overall on that Zehen to take JJ down and start off what ended up being a pretty good fight for BLG overall. It was a 3-for-3, but their solo laners remained alive, with only the support for Weibo still left standing alongside Xiaohu. So, at this point of the game, not much honestly has changed, folks. It's just the dragon and a couple of kills being kind of swapped back and forth. We're still fully waiting for a soul to be secured, and neither side won as definitive of a team fight that was necessary for them to take full control of the game.
Now, I know that on the scoreboard, it doesn't seem to me that BLG and Weibo here, with the goal difference and such, that much has changed, but I would say that actually quite a lot has, just given that the nature of these compositions. The LeBlanc just gets so outscaled. For example, the power of the Nico as well is obviously much more effective in the early game when you're having the flash as well. And, you know, these champions, the later the game goes on, the less useful they become, whereas that is not the same
Look
story.
at On! Was that blind on the Xiaohu? Oh my goodness! Allowing for Shun to go in and finish off a big shutdown on the star player of Weibo. That is a massive play from BLG's support, and it's going to allow them to start up this Baron Nashor in a 4v5.
Yeah, that's exactly what BLG needed here, and they just call everything onto this Baron. Weibo's not going to be happy about this.
JJ looking to try to hunt his way back into the pit, issues the Cataclysm. They're going to go for the full-on fight instead. Knight unable to find anybody here with the Emperor's Divide, and Zika wreaking havoc on the backline, and Viper in some trouble with the Public Institution going on top of him. Zika almost able to finish off the kill, and he will be able to do so. And on the backside of things, it's Elk finishing off the rest of Bilibili Gaming. It's his former team, and Elk is here with a vengeance. Only Bin is left alive on BLG's side, but he's just revived and still very, very healthy in this situation. Healing up enough, but it will not be enough for them to win the fight. It's Elk finishing off the ace, and Weibo going over to the Baron themselves.
Yeah, I think BLG's position there was completely winning. And I just think that the way they played it was way too scuffed. I don't think that was the look they wanted. I think Knight completely shuffled in, pretty much hit nobody, and was stuck in a stasis where he's just met by Elk, who just beams him down the second he comes. What the heck is on for even finding that hook in the first place? He completely put them in a spot where they could take the game away into their hands. But I don't know exactly what happened here, but I do think that it was probably Knight who made the biggest error here. I'm going to have to see this again.
Ulti. Yeah, it's not the best usage of the Emperor's Divide, if I do say so myself. It starts off with JJ going in, and then Knight just completely whiffs, and Elk is able to remain untouched and do a ton of damage in this team fight.
Yeah, and that is, you know, the good teams giveth and they taketh, and unfortunately in this situation, they tooketh their own chance of winning away, it seems like. Even Weibo Gaming, number 6, Baron Nashor, able to help finish off the Wukong there. And, you know, low-key, I thought the Zahen at the end here might win this. You know, I've seen some things. It is season 16, but they did kite him out really well. And I think it was just the wrong look there. Another fight.
Now we get right back to action here with the dragon spawning in 7 seconds. Bin gets deleted, and Zika goes forward with Public Execution, burning the spell shield on Viper, but not landing the knockup. It is overall a 1-0 in favor of Weibo, but remember that this dragon will be the soul if they pick it up, and BLG not even bothering to contest. They're looking for objectives instead. They'll be able to get this tier 2 tower in the mid lane, but it'll come at the cost of a big mountain soul for Weibo.
Yeah, and this is all off of the back of that Baron play. I know that it looks really intimidating to just try flipping the Baron, but Grapes, it was down to under 3,000 HP. Smite does 1,400 damage this patch. All they had to do was click the Baron for like an additional second and smite it away. It would have been perhaps a 50-50, but I think that that look would have been so much more realistic than the fight approach that they did go for. I mean, obviously Knight did execute the fight, but sometimes you just have to have the courage, the gusto to just flip the whole game. They didn't have that confidence, and now it's going to cost them a mountain soul, and that means their chances of winning this game are slim to none.
An uncharacteristically tough game for Knight. His first game with this new BLG squad. They played in the Demacia Cup with YXL instead. Now with, of course, this superstar player that we've hyped up so much over the years on BLG. They're struggling, at least in their opening game of the 2026 season. Weibo coming off of a big momentum boost with a win over IG last night, looking poised to finish off game number 1 if they're able to put off the finishing touches in this game. They have themselves the Mountain Soul, have Baron for another 20 seconds, but aren't going to be able to get too much more after it. They'll likely come down to another big fight around the Purple Worm.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how else to explain it other than this is just typical for a new roster that hasn't fully gelled together before. I mean, I just think a lot of the mistakes have just been so random and so arbitrary. They're just not playing very well.
Viper.
And Viper almost gets completely one-tapped, forcing to flash away from Xiaohu there. You can realize just how difficult it is for him to navigate this situation. And, you know, it's really tough here because even Knight doesn't have, like, any damage items. He's got a Rylai's and a Zhonya's, so I mean, he can survive and he can be annoying, but then he can just do that and just miss everybody once again, Grapes. That's the third.
Dash away. Elk emotes at his former teammate. He knows that he wanted that one bad, but not going to happen as Knight comes out fruitless once more.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be missing Azir ult where you're trading ult for flash, but Grapes, that was the third Azir ult of the game that just did nothing. And here we go, we got another look. Zika doesn't get anything from that blast cone, thankfully for BLG, but yeah, I mean, the Knight Azir is just not it, Grapes. It's just not it. We need to see better performances. Now, Viper has no flash. Knight has probably no confidence left. I mean, how could you? And Xiaohu and Weibo were even emoting on them as Elk this game. He's got 4 items, and he's about to complete a GA as this Yunara with a 3,000 gold lead. How on earth are you ever going to handle this if you're BLG?
Yeah, remember, he's going to have an extra item slot afterwards because of the new quests. A lot of snowballing potential available in the bottom lane. Might not be the strongest earlier on, but once you get to this stage in the game, Fulls, especially as a Yunara up against a Lethality Varus, this is where Elk and the AD carry position in general really is able to shine with some of these crit changes, and of course, just the fact that Elk is still one of the best AD carries that we have here in the LPL, certainly showing it here against the man that replaced him in Viper.
Yeah, this, as you said, is just the total stage of the game where the AD carries are meant to shine. That extra inventory slot is doing absolutely nothing right now for Viper, whereas it's putting in absolute work for the side of Elk. You know, he gets those really valuable components, mind you, each worth over 1,000 gold, and he's going to have that GA. His whole team, frankly, is just up in items, up in usefulness. They have got a Mountain Soul. I mean, how are you doing this damage to them? Look how big these Mountain Soul shields are, man. I mean, this is just so extremely difficult to navigate as BLG. There's a reason Mountain Soul has a 90% win rate. So, I mean, they're down 6k, they're down to Mountain Soul. At this point, you're preying on some kind of a Baron Smite Steal, an Elder Smite Steal. You need a miracle at this point if you're a Bilibili.
Yeah, I think specifically the Elder would help a lot, just in terms of getting over the hump of the extra damage that Mountain Soul shield currently provides. Who's going to be able to do that damage, though? I mean, it's not Viper at this stage in the game. He's playing Poke Varus. Will it be Knight? We'll see here as a fight already has broken out. Depth Charge lands onto Zika, who is currently level 19 with that upgraded top lane quest. Not able to find too much more than about half of the Mbetsa's HP bar, though. The Baron is about to spawn in 5 seconds. Zika is going to head back to base. He has an Unleashed teleport at his disposal. But BLG might have to go for broke in a situation like this.
Oh, look at this TP spot.
With Jejes controlling so much of this space. He finds the Cataclysm on a Viper and takes the Varus down instantly. And Zika comes right back into the fight. Up the 2-man Pot Blossom from Erha. And that's curtains of game number 1. Weibo absolutely destroy BLG in their grand return to the 2026 stage. 21-9. They have a soul on top of it. And off the back of Xiaohu's LeBlanc, Weibo gonna get game 1 of this best-of-3 series.
Oh yeah, there's almost no way that BLG is gonna survive this. I mean, I've seen some miracles before, but as Zahen Azir here, there's practically no way they're defending this. I mean, I do like it as Weibo.
Wow, okay.
You go for the 99.9% play here. You may as well. I mean, I don't even know what kind of Doctor Strange timelines even exist for BLG to beat this. You take the Baron, you're pretty much bound to get the Elder at this point as well. Then you come for the push. That's just insurmountable. I mean, it looked like they possibly could have ended there, but again, I mean, Azir, he does have R, he does have Flash, he does have Zonya. He could possibly defend them, so why go for a 99% when you go for the 99 to the power of 99?
You know what? Fair enough. I thought they were going to end right there. Issued the call a little bit too early, but it's still Weibo in a tremendous amount of control now that they have picked up the Baron buff. Working towards the Elder as well. If they can get both of these, certainly will be wraps. As On is looking for an engage. Bin trying to find some sort of poke, and On already getting assassinated by the likes of Xiaohu. Elder could be the topic of conversation, but not before Elk's already able to dish out a ton of damage, and it's a triple kill in for Xiaohu on the LeBlanc. Waiting for the revive on the Bin to finish the job. They're going to give the kill over to Erha, and that will be it. Elder not needed, as Weibo will march down the mid lane and take game 1.
Yeah, and poetically, the only player left for BLG is the new blood back into the LPL on Bilibili here in Viper. He's just going to have to sit and watch as the rest of his team crumbles around him, and there is just nothing he can do as Weibo with the Mountain Soul, with the Baron, with all 5 members in tow, completely steamrolling BLG's base, destroying their Nexus in a handed fashion, and completely taking this game 1 of this series by storm.
Many thought Hong was really underperforming for Weibo, and it was a breath of fresh life here for the side of Weibo. They obviously didn't end up doing too much afterwards, but certainly a fun addition to stick around for Weibo alongside Xiaohu for 2026. Weibo look to complete the sweep. See if they can do it as we kick off game number 2.
Yeah, and we see the classic of the battle for the bot lane bush. It looks like BLG is just going to let Weibo have the bush control down here. I mean, the Blitzcrank is just so threatening. On stepping up, I would imagine this isn't the best trade in the world. But wow, just look at the aggression here. Aphelios does, of course, have that extra range at level 1 with the Calibrum, so he's definitely going to want to make use of that. But pretty interesting, the heal being expended and everything. It's an absolute just war of attrition in this bot lane every single time, it feels like, in this season.
Yeah, that was a surprising heal by Erha. I don't know exactly what he was going for there. The Flay was already used, so it's not like they were really trying to get away from any sort of major crowd control on BLG's side. And that's going to result in them ceding control of this first wave. Viper and On going to be able to have an early push and going to be hitting level 2 first.
I mean, I am somewhat of a believer in the use your summoner, your combat summoner smell as soon as you can, but that just didn't seem like a very good usage.
Oh.
Wow, you gotta click that, and he does get the correct input to dodge the hook. I like that a lot from Elk.
I feel like Elk's being a little disrespectful here against his old
Dude, he
team.
totally is, man. He totally is.
He sees On hit the hook. He's like, yeah, that's why I left you, bro. I don't care. That's why I'm on a new team now. I got Erha. Doing pretty good. This time, the Death Sentence does connect. And yeah, Elk, I mean, had a great performance in that last game, winning that POG award. We'll see if he's able to do it this time on the Corki. Not as much of a meta champion as, you know, we're typically associated with, you know, like the Yunara from earlier today.
See, Grips, I feel like this is why I could never play bot lane, because sometimes it's like the entire laning phase is up to you dodging one spell. And thank goodness for Elk and his ability to use the mouse that he was able to dodge it. Because imagine that Death Sentence does hook, you're burning a summoner, you're losing the trade, it's just awful. But he dodges it and it doesn't matter. So well played. I mean, that's you just got to be good enough to do that, and he was. And that's just respect to Elk. He deserves his emote flowers. He gets to BM them a little bit after that.
Yeah, you know, doing pretty good for himself, at least in this beginning of the game. See junglers just trading Scuttle Crabs as JJ makes a triumphant walk throughout the mid lane to just pressure Knight a slight amount. Now Shin going to make his pass into the mid lane as well, but Xiaohu very aware that this is happening and will not be in any danger.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see a bit of a preview of how the Mundo is into the Syndra. It's pretty frustrating for Syndra because you just can't, we might get to see again, you just can't really scatter him back. He can just run towards you, and there's just nothing you can do but run away. And that's probably why Knight took the phase rush this game. I like that selection a lot. It's definitely going to mean that he has that extra mobility to just run away, that extra speed to gap close from the Mundo. So yeah, he's going to need to be relying on that a lot this game, because you can't E this Mundo as Syndra, like, ever. So that I really think that was a wise rune choice by Knight.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point about the composition that BLG have against Mundo specifically. They don't have a lot of, you know, what you would call throwaway CC. A lot of the big stuff that might block that initial passive going to be really big summoners or big spells to use. See Erha blowing that flash, try to save that wave here in the bottom side. But yeah, like, you're not going to be throwing Gnar ulti at a Mundo. You're not going to be throwing a Malphite ulti, Scatter the Weak. Your hope is like a Flay from On starts it off, or a you know, a Gravitum root from Viper. But other than that, it's pretty difficult to try to do anything to this Mundo in this game. It's a great pick right now for Weibo.
This is extremely interesting. They're opting to send Elk top in Season 16 right now, Grapes. I don't know if you know this, but like the exact, what would you call it, parameters of the quest, but I believe it's like a 50% nerf in quest points received in terms of minions, in terms of just everything, if you're in an alternate lane right now. So Elk completely sacrificing the integrity of his quest just for this lane matchup right now. Wow, Knight is that good.
we'll see if it ends up paying off. As we saw, Viper and On, despite Elk's emoting ability, still were able to generate a pretty big lead down there because of that early summoner spell that was blown by Erha. So maybe Elk gonna instead decide to, take his talents to the top lane where you can at least have a free time CS thing, get to that late game that Weibo, I feel like, are going to want to be at, especially with, Corki being at significantly high damage thresholds, and of course JJ waiting for this Mundo to get as tanky as possible.
And you have to keep in mind, this isn't just making Corki's quest harder to complete, it's also the same for Renekton. Wow, Knight being forced to flash there, I mean, the Aurora does do a lot of damage, so I suppose that is reasonable. But let's see, maybe you don't need to complete the quest if you just one-shot this guy.
Nice knock-up from Erha with the power grab to make sure that he's able to land that rocket grab himself. The Elk, though, once again, taking a ton of turret shots. He's below 100 HP. The minions might not be able to do anything as JJ flashes forward. It was risky, but he finally pays off as Weibo Gaming pick up first blood.
Yeah, and I'm just so curious if that's even worth it. I mean, on the scoreboard, it says so, but BLG gets the dragon, and they're actually going to complete their quests on time. So it's just a question of the trade-off here. I mean, I know that you get extra quest points for getting a takedown, but the takedown being outside of your lane does mean it's a bit less. So I can only wonder if this is worth it. I have not seen this so far in Season 16, and I can only wonder if there's a good reason why.
Yeah, I mean, you have to really believe that the advantage that you can get via the lane swap is worth it. So it looks like they're going to go back to those standard lanes right now. Been taking the death, and going to be relatively okay with it at the end of the day. And now we'll see if that extra gold for Elk, that extra experience potentially, will have paid off in the return to the bottom lane against Viper and On.
Yeah, I mean, Viper was left to his own devices down here and is still able to have a gold lead because Elk wasn't even able to pick up that kill. I mean, if anything, Nar is going to be a bit behind in XP, but guess what? Nar is just going to probably complete his quest sooner and make up for that XP anyway. So, I mean, I know I'm sounding like a broken record right now, but this is just extremely strange. And I honestly don't think it was worth it just because of the dragon. I think if the dragon isn't part of the transaction, that it's certainly could be worth it for Weibo, but I would imagine that Viper and Bin are going to end up having a sooner power spike this game, with Viper getting more gold and Bin getting more XP than their counterpart.
I suppose only time will tell at this point. Still a lot of time left in this game. I feel like both teams feeling comfortable about their ability to scale and play some of these fights that are more extended, drawn out. See some skirmishing down here in the bottom side. Erha lands the rocket grab, but Viper has 6 and is able to just annihilate the Blitzcrank with the help of his Moonlight Vigil and those Shurikens. An easy 2v2 kill picked up for BLG.
Yeah, and BLG says, guess what happens when you lane against us, buddy? It kind of looks like that, and they just totally take them out, eliminate them from the face of the rift, even forcing Elk to burn the cleanse. He's got no sums left, and he probably can't even stand here much longer. This Malphite has his ult. They are getting a bit chunked here by the tower as Thresh as such, but they're going to end up backing off, and Mundo is going to be able to start up these grubs here. So, again, it's a bit of a cross-map play. Someone has to tank a death, but they get an objective on the other side of the map.
So BLG able to equalize that gold lead slightly, but JJ will be able to get those 3 grubs, and now BLG going to add to that lead in the kill department as Viper gets kill number 2. Thanks to the help of Shun and his unstoppable force, Erha dies for the 2nd time in as many minutes.
Yeah, and funneling that kill into Viper is so meaningful, by the way. I mean, literally has an 850 gold lead right now. I'm pretty sure he just procced cash back, that's why, but that is so meaningful here. And this Nar is minied out. He's stuck in mini. He's going to get one shot.
See if Ben is able to do anything to try to survive this. The towers definitely are more powerful, but not powerful enough, especially up against JJ, who has popped that ultimate and will keep himself nice and healthy. Getting his first kill of the game is Zika, and this game is tied up once again at 2.
So this is one of those standard sort of League of Legends patterns where Bin is just going to have to eat it a little bit up there in the top lane. He's just going to have to tank it. He's going to have to live with it. Whereas Viper is going to be the one who gets to receive all the prizes, all the rewards, and as Bin here, you're just totally hopping in Viper's backpack this game. And I mean, who else's backpack would you rather hop into? And when it comes to this guy, Mr. World Champion over here, who's got a really successful career, all sorts of championships, let's see if he can finally have his first good performance here in the LPL with his return in his debut.
Got that collector already. Again, just fun to see Viper back in the LPL, where he made so many memories back on Edward Gaming. Reminder, that was the last time the LPL won a world championship. It was with Viper on EDG. JJ was with him as well. We get a little bit of that matchup. It'll be fun to track as we see him play against AL and Flandre later on in the season as well. Maybe Mako will come back for IG at some point. But for now, this is the matchup that we're focused on, and Viper having a much better performance than he did in game number 1.
Yeah, and I want to think back to that second kill on Erha. That's just why you first picked the Malphite. He has to dodge this.
Nice dodge.
Of course he does. But really well played by Bin there. But yeah, I mean, the Malphite jungle is just so overpowered, Grapes. I mean, the reason why this champion was kind of balanced in the first place was you kind of know where he is on the map when he's a top laner. You can kind of keep track of him. When he's a jungler, he could just be sitting in the bush, man. He can just be anywhere, and you could just be getting Malphite ulted out of nowhere. And looks like Bin might be going for the three-peat here.
This is a bold decision. It was a little bit easier to go for it when he was not Mega, but now with an extra mem here in Xiaohu, going to make that decision a little bit easier, as they will be able to take down Bin for the 3rd kill of the game on Weibo's side. Oh, but Zika died. Oh, it's a 1-for-1.
Zika died. Well, I guess Zika is receiving the Bin treatment a little bit. You know, that's just how it is as a weak side player. You are literally just, you have two options. Either you just don't play the game, you get no golden XP, you just sit under your second tower because your first one's not even safe and you just hardly exist, or you gather as much resources as you can and realize you're probably going to die in the process. So as much as Bin has 3 deaths this game, I mean, has he really done anything wrong, or is that just the overall macro of this game? We'll see how they took their strong side play onto Zika here. I mean, yeah, you can't survive this. You just get Malphite ulted.
Oh boy.
You just get one shot. And, you know, BLG has 2 Drakes and the gold lead here, so just because Bin looks like he's trolling, I really don't think he is. He's playing pretty well. He dodged the Blitzcrank hook. He's done everything he possibly can. Sometimes you have to be the one who gets dealt the short straw and win anyway.
Feed in Viper, that's his 3rd kill of the game himself. As now On could be in some trouble using the death sentence, and he uses the Raptors to get away from the might of Weibo. Elk flashes forward, but will not be able to finish the kill off. Such mastery of this champion here for On to understand that he can use that death sentence as an escape, and ends up getting commuted.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like he was just super dead. Wow, okay, that's really well played. You do want to be trading flashes there as the Blitzcrank. Sucks for Viper, but it is what it is. His flash is probably a bit of a longer cooldown as well. So, yeah, that's not bad from Arrowhead there. But yeah, I mean, On, so well played, man. I mean, like I said, I thought he was dead, but apparently not, man. Apparently as the Thresh, you can death sentence out there. You can buy yourself enough space to survive. Really well played. And yeah, BLG has the total upper hand in this second game. They really want to take us to 3. It's looking like the momentum is fully on their side.
1,500 gold lead, and more than that is on Viper right now, actually. If you take Viper and Elk out of the equation, BLG actually are down in gold, but that's just how powerful this Aphelios is at this stage in the game. And they're going to look to try to feed him even more as an unstoppable force once again finds Erha. Well, Elk not going to be in a position to respond. And who else but Viper to go on a rampage?
Yeah, they are saying, welcome back to the LPL, buddy. Here's your silver platter. Feel free to have whatever it is. Eat everything you want on this buffet. It's on us. And Viper is getting as fed as he possibly wants this game. I love it. As the Malphite, why not just target the Blitzcrank? You know he just expended his flash. You may as well just give another free kill over to Viper, man. Just get him that much stronger. And as I highlighted in the previous series, Aphelios, one of the most prominent AD carries, if not the most prominent, alongside perhaps Yunara and I mean Varus on this patch. But this being the champion that's a bit more of a Viper champ, I would say, this is exactly what you want. One of the best players in the game on one of the best champions in the game being completely spoon-fed.
We've seen countless moments of Viper on the Aphelios specifically in the LPL have incredible moments. In fact, that's what won him Game 5 of his World Championship. Now he's looking for a huge moment here. He uses the Moonlight Vigil, but he's going to get caught out and taken down in a 1v3. JJ gets a big shutdown, and Weibo are back in business, baby, as Xiaohu goes forward and gets his Mundo a double kill.
Yeah, I mean, Xiaohu completely carried that fight. That Between Worlds ult was just so effective. This slow that it's putting onto all of those BLG members, that just completely swung the entire game back in Weibo's favor.
Knight looking for an assassination onto Erha, not going to be able to get it though, as JJ able to make his way over to this Rift Herald, should be able to take that one down, get another neutral objective into the hands of Weibo Gaming, and they're suddenly right back into this game, Fulls.
Yeah, I think On just stepping up much too far to place this control ward here. You realize that, you know, he's just getting slowed and beaten down here by this Mundo, by this Blitzcrank, even the Corki gatling him in the back. But look at this Aurora ult. It's just so effective. Not only the damage, but also the slow. I mean, as Viper, you can't build enough space to survive anymore. You're just forced to die here because this Aurora ult hits you a level 11 Aurora even, so it's just even that much more powerful. You have barrier, but it's just not even close to enough. And I think that was On just positioning a bit too far forward, and Xiaohu being ready to capitalize on BLG's members overextending.
So 700 gold lead now in favor of Weibo. They're still awaiting, actually, funnily enough, for Elk and for Zika to get their quest completed. That's the two champions that ended up swapping those lanes.
Well.
We'll see if it has any impact on this potential fight around the dragon. It would be sole point for BLG if they can get this Cloud Drake in about 30 seconds time.
That is amazing.
It's funny how this works out, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, well, supposedly they just had a really advantageous play, so they're probably chilling, but you know, you can only wonder how much value they're leaving on the table here by going for this line of play. I mean, this Corki just has so much less gold, and this Renekton just has so much less XP, so I mean, hey, they are technically in the lead, but again, there are some doubts to be had here for sure. A lot of on the way pings here for this Rift Herald, it looks like. They're spotting this up right at the awakening, if you will, of the dragon here, and we'll see if BLG even wants to contest this whatsoever. There's just no way. So you definitely go for as much gold as you possibly can. Perhaps have some kind of a look here in the top side. You know, you can perhaps get some of these plates off of this top tower. But other than that, you just kind of lose the objective with no recourse.
Yeah, BLG, they are able to afford giving up one of those dragons. Maybe they want to wait a little bit more. Maybe look for a play instead.
Wow.
As Elk gets knocked up alongside Erha with the unstoppable force of Shun, and Viper gets right back onto the board. The Calibrum from downtown secures the double, and BLG answer right back.
Yeah, and BLG, we are so back out of nowhere. That's such a crazy play. I'm pretty sure he flash lanterned in the Malphite, and as Elk there, of course you're feeling paranoid, wanting to flash, but that's the last thing you want to do. As soon as you flash, the Malphite ult comes in. Boom, guess what? You're one tapped. Guess what? That's a double kill for Viper. He's gonna have over a 2,000 gold lead now. He still has his sums, and Corki has no flash. This 80 carry difference is gonna be huge.
BLG have 6 kills, and they have all gone to that man on the Aphelios in Viper. First game back in the LPL since 2022, but it's with the help of his teammates that plays like this are able to be made.
Yeah, so well played. Even on hooking, the Blitzcrank was ideal there because the Corki was just beyond dead. That means they're getting a second kill onto Viper, as you mentioned, getting all the kills they can onto this Viper fella. He's quite the good 80 carry, you know, so I would not fault this strategy one bit. We're going to have to see if putting all of your eggs in the Viper basket is going to pay off. I would imagine it will, but we have a lot of League of Legends to be played here.
Only thing is that Knight not able to get any of these. He's still at 0-0-0. However, in an even game state as to Xiaohu at this point in time. See if those one-shots will still be able to play if Knight is not snowballed as much as maybe he would have liked to in a typical situation. That's one of the big things that BLG are going to have to figure out. I feel like, you know, Elk certainly is a player that can carry games on his own. But when you bring in somebody like Viper, who is regarded by many to be literally the best AD carry in the world, if you're somebody like Knight coming into this position, coming into this situation, you might have to have some games where you're more on the defensive side, more on the secondary supportive side of things.
Yeah, I mean, as Knight, you're doing pretty much exactly what's needed from you this game. They might have a look on Bin here, probably not. But yeah, you just want to stay alive, get your gold, get your XP, play your game. I mean, Aphelios champ, there's a reason they pick him. This whole Baron Nashor thing isn't as much of a threat to him as most champs.
Oh my gosh. It is getting deleted right now. 7,000 HP, however, Weibo do know that this is happening.
It's gone.
Will allow for this Mundo to get close, but it is still secured by the hands of Bilibili Gaming. Students able to use the flash to get away, but Weibo still wanted the smoke. They're still looking for the fight, and they will be able to take the Malphite down. Zika, the one to land the final blow, but the rest of BLG will be able to escape. They get the Baron, and it only comes at the cost of one of their players, maybe a second though, as On has suddenly been caught out as well. A teleport his ear for Knight, but he will not be able to save, I should say, his support. Scatter of the Week comes out. It stuns up Zika, and Weibo should be able to escape with their lives. Viper now suddenly taken very low, and Weibo can still look to be aggressive now in the 3v5. They force Knight and Viper back, and they will not be able to get as much with this Baron as BLG may have originally hoped.
Yeah, as ridiculous as it seems for a super even game state, -1 flash, is that that actually should have been even better for BLG. The only reason that was so ugly is Shun got Blitzcrank hooked, and that's inexcusable, man. You cannot get Blitzcrank hooked as Malphite when you have your ult up. There's no reason he should be ulting backwards, flashing over the wall, and dying when it just took one input to change the entire trajectory. All he had to do was buffer the Blitzcrank hook with his ultimate, and that play would have pretty much been game-winning. But because Weibo was able to find some sort of a counterplay due to Shun's inability to do so, and due to the fact that On got cut out at the end there as well, the play isn't nearly as good as it should be. But don't get me wrong, that is still a really good play for BLG.
Yeah, still have Baron buff for next 90 seconds, and while they are down in terms of gold right now, a lot of those objectives are going to continue to stack that cash here for BLG. They also have this dragon back up in 30 seconds. They can use the wave power they have with these empowered minions to get themselves good positioning for that one, which would again be that Cloud Soul point.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of looks like they're contesting. Looks like both the solo laners are recalling to try and teleport in. We see some assistance pings being issued deep into the BLG jungle. I would not be surprised if we have a pretty intense 5v5 take place here. I also would not be surprised if Weibo has the reasonability to just give this one up. It is literally a Malphite controlling this terrain right now. You're probably just going to get one tapped if you overstep, so let's see.
BLG poking, issuing little slivers of damage onto Weibo's side. Who will be the one to fully pull the trigger, though? Still waiting to see. Erha could be the difference maker with a rocket grab and use a lot of that patience to make sure that he does not pull the wrong player. If he gets Knight or Viper, it could be game warping, series warping here for Weibo. They're playing things very safely as the dragon has been started up.
Yeah, I mean, at least you want to get in range for a 50-50 smite here, but they want more.
Go. Knock up already connecting onto Xiaohu. Viper in severe danger. He flashed away, but still has a lot of healing with that red gun. It's going to be Viper eventually getting taken down by the hands of Zika. But can the rest of BLG come to play without their main carry alive? They get the Renekton as it's still a 1-for-2 in favor of BLG. Elk's able to back away from that death sentence of On, but it's BLG securing the third dragon of the game.
It looks like Knight is finally on the board here, finally participating in a kill, but I believe what happened there was actually Viper's ulti as the Severum, the healing Moonlight Vigil. I believe it was actually dodged. Maybe Xiaohu went into the Between Worlds or something. So I think Viper was supposed to heal like over 300 extra HP here, but he wasn't able to do so. Let's take another look.
I mean, that would be a big difference maker here. Yeah, the Moonlight Vigil, it went wide. You saw it hit the back end of the Dragon Pit instead of a champion there.
Yeah, it looks like Xiaohu phased right through it with the Between Worlds blink. And, I mean, if Viper had those extra hit points, he's got Triumph, he's got Legend Bloodline. I'm pretty sure with the Severum as well, his HP bar could have went all the way back up to full pretty much. but instead he does get low enough to be taken up before he can drain back up. And that matters quite a bit, but however, Knight still doing his diligence, performing well enough on this Syndra. Looks like he's building into a needlessly large rod item here. Could be a Shadow Flame, could be a Zhonya's, could be a Death Cap. Honestly, wouldn't even mind a Banshees because the enemy team has a Blitzcrank. But I wouldn't be surprised for it just to be the Death Cap because he's going to have the fully online Syndra passive in one additional Splinter. So that's any second now. And his champion scales pretty well, Grapes. So just because Viper was the main character at the start doesn't mean we can't have sort of a duet here for the rest of this match.
Yeah, I mean, Knight certainly still able to provide a big chunk of damage, especially to some of these squishier targets. He made it still a 2-for-1 fight for BLG at the end of the day, working towards what could be a Shadow Flame, a Death Cap, whatever it may end up being for that third item. Speaking of third items, though, Viper's already gotten his. On the other side of things, though, here, Foles, we haven't talked a lot about Jeje since the earlier portions of this game, but he's now 3-0-6. He has 3 items himself. That Randuin's going to really stifle a lot of the damage that Viper can put out. He hasn't died yet. He might end up being pretty unkillable at this point.
Yeah, so some people might not know this about the Dr. Mundo, but it's actually pretty similar in a sense to sort of Kale or Kassadin, where level 16 is just such a huge power spike on Dr. Mundo because at rank 3, maximum dosages, increased base health, and bonus generation are increased by the amount of enemy champions nearby. So he gets a sort of additional secret passive on his ult when he hits level 16, where it's just that much more OP. So if his proximity has 5 enemy champions, the Mundo ult is just insane. I'm sure we might have seen some of those push clips before. I mean, he's got the business skin. I'm sure he knows what he's doing. But when this Mundo hits level 16 and he has a Randuin's, Aphelios is going to do no damage. He's going to heal so much.
There's no scatter on Knight right now, and that means Weibo want to go on the aggressive end. Shun gets hooked up, uses that unstoppable force defensively, and that's a big cooldown. No longer at BLG's disposal. Bin teleports in, has to immediately hop, skip, and jump out of the way. And Weibo Gaming in a good position now to potentially contest a Baron or just set up their lanes, set up the map for what could be a big fight around a Dragon Soul.
Yeah, I mean, you see, just because the enemy team has the Lantern, the Blitzcrank typically doesn't care. You can just hit a hook, you can pretty much just block the Lantern, and you saw Malphite was forced to ult backwards there either way. So it's just going to be really difficult to deal with this later game stages for BLG to punch through this Mundo. I mean, he's got the Spirit Resist, so his healing is going to be ridiculous. He's got the Randuin, so the Aphelios is going to do like no damage. And once he gets that level 16 extra ulti passive, he's just going to be that much more powerful. And I would be really concerned about that with this Dragon spawning and this Baron up right now. I mean, you have to get this Cloud Soul as BLG, it feels like, or else this game becomes a lot more difficult.
A very back and forth game between BLG and Weibo. Weibo could sweep BLG if they're able to finish off what could be a very decisive fight around a Cloud Soul for Bilibili. Your defending champions of the LPL from Split 3 of 2025, here with a new addition in Viper at the AD carry position. You see the red and the blue guns once again unlock for Viper, and they find a big scatter of the week onto Jeje to chunk him to half HP. Meanwhile, Zika was looking for a flank onto Bin, but unable to find any crucial targets, and now Bin approaching Meganar. The unstoppable force comes forward from Shun, and that's the go button for BLG. 2 members down. Xiaohu forced to jump away, but he will not be able to escape for very much longer. Flashed away from the wallop. Maximum dosage here for Jeje will keep him alive, but BLG are still 5 strong, and they can make their way to the Dragon Soul.
Yeah, and what an effective usage of the go button. They quite literally one-shot Zika before he was even able to pop the Dominus. That's such a difference maker in this fight. The Blitzcrank and the Renekton just had no way to navigate that. Beautiful ulti. Wow, look at that damage onto Elk right there.
Almost able to one-shot Elk. Has help from On to get away from.
Take it.
Could be a little bit even more damage. On thought about it. You know he thought about going in there. But going for the safer play instead. Baron is on the table, and Zika does not respawn for another 5 seconds, and no TP on the Renekton.
Yeah, and Jeje doesn't have the passive right now. I believe it should come up pretty soon here, but it means he can actually be crowd controlled for once. And you can just one-shot this.
getting close to Mega Gnar. There he is. Will he use the ultimate? Already does. Doesn't find a priority target. And it's going to be the Baron secured by Weibo. Somehow, someway, BLG have it stolen right under their noses. And now can go for the fight on the other side of things. Bin has a Sterix pop. Zika looking to dash forward. And they will take the Gnar down. Xiao Hu gets the kill. And now Bilibili are on the run with Weibo, the ones wearing purple.
And that's the thing with the Cloud Soul. It's the highest win rate soul, but a lot of the power comes from using your ultimates. They expended all of their ultimates in the previous play, so they weren't even able to use the value of the soul all that much. Once JJ steals that, he's also level 16 now. He just completely takes over that fight. He just carried the whole game with just the simple press of his D key right there. So well, he pressed both of it. I guess he had to flash in first. He presses F, he presses D, and that's all he needs to do to carry this fight, carry this game.
Wow. I mean, he finds a creative angle in there. Bin misses some of that crucial crowd control, including the Gnar ultimate onto every target, including JJ. If he gets stunned up there, maybe that's the Baron. Who knows how this fight could have gone.
Yeah, as BLG, you don't want to be flipping that there. I can only imagine that they thought it wasn't a flip, that there was no way that Mundo would be able to reach them on time and that it wasn't feasible. But it totally was, man. He was easily able to steal that right under their nose. And I can only wonder whose game this is going to be now. Just because one team has the Cloud Soul, the other team has the Baron here. They have the gold lead. Their champions are pretty good late game. I mentioned the Mundo. We might have ourselves a game that could go all the way to the Elder Dragon just to get some hopes up.
And if you thought Mundo was hard to kill, he's got his fourth item, and that's a Protoplasm Harness. Going to be basically a second ulti if he ever gets below 30% HP. Hook lands onto On. Erha landing a nice rocket grab, and that's Elk getting the kill. 4v5 now opened up across the map as Bin teleports in to try to defend his bot lane tier 1, but that will not happen. There's still the empowered minions for the next 60 seconds, and Weibo are going to make the most of it.
Oh, this is so awkward too, because as Viper, he's got a Lord Dominic's regards and an Executioner's calling. He knows he needs to cut this healing, but this Executioner's can't do anything. Luckily, he gets the extra inventory slot, but yeah, this Mundo, as I kind of theorized, is just going to be such an amazing champion for Weibo. They ulti onto him.
They're going to have to try to just one-shot him, but he cleanses away, pops the ulti, and JJ will not fall. This Mundo is immortal, and Elk's going to land the kill onto Shun as well. Xiao Hu on the flank. Knight and Viper are very low, and Weibo will continue their push with the Baron buff.
And guess what, Graves? He didn't even have to pop the Protoplasm Harness there. He didn't even reach the threshold. He would have had just that much more healing, just that much more tenacity. He's just so immortal. He's so unkillable. He's even more ahead now. 3,000 gold lead in the jungler. Malphite does low-key get outscaled. Eventually, he's just an unstoppable force bot. Well, unfortunately, some of these targets on Weibo are pretty hard to lock down. The Aurora, even the Corki have some counterplay to it. And the main target they've been one-shotting all game is this Blitzcrank. At this stage of the game, if you're ulting Blitzcrank, the fight's probably over before it starts. So this 3,000 gold lead in the jungle is huge in terms of the amount in which it matters in this game. And this Mundo champion, man, he might be exactly what Weibo needs to get them across the finish line in this series.
Malphite B1 has been a very powerful selection. I guess not B1, it was R1 this case, but first pick now that we're in this new first selection phase. But this Mundo pickup is starting to become a real problem in the LPL as a counter to this Malphite pick. Outscales and is able to basically out-tank anything that is thrown its way. You see BLG, even with a fully fed Viper on this Aphelios, unable to even scratch the surface of the health pool of this Dr. Mundo pick. As JJ and the rest of Weibo looking to pull off what many thought would be improbable. A 2-0 over BLG to open the 2026 season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this Dr. Mundo champion in Season 16, he's got the second Mundo ulti, as we highlighted, that Protoplasm Harness. He is so hard to kill. And you can't even really target him because of his passive. You know, he's just immune to all the crowd control. And as Viper here, you've got this extra inventory slot. You've got all the gold in the world, but there's just no item you can build to punch through this Mundo right now. Here we go.
Another hook. It lands onto Shun. He's going to have to use the lantern from On to get away. But Jeje is still just going to walk straight into the opposition. And Xiaohu has found a massive flank, but he gets knocked up and is going to get taken down by the Unleashed Power. A massive mistake by the mid laner of Weibo Gaming could end up costing them this team fight. Here goes Bin. He's Mega Gnar, lands the wallop, and gets the Gnar on to Zika. 2-0 BLG. And they're going to push down mid to look for more.
Yeah, I mean, Xiaohu was just doing too much right there. He's like, one of the only ways you can throw is by dying as one of these vulnerable champions. There was no need to go for that. He got completely punished. I'm not sure what by. I think it was actually a Scatter of the Week that might have hit him. It might have been a Malphite ult. I really would love to see that again.
I think it was a scatter,
but whatever hit Xiaohu there, he got crowd controlled. He got one shot, and that was a huge, huge mistake. This Elder Dragon's going to go the way of BLG alongside their Cloud Soul, and what a game is to be sure. They have a huge, huge spot to take this game 2 right now. They're going to even probably get the Baron.
Remember, guys, this is day number 2 of the LPL 2026 season. We still have so many games to go. Hopefully many, many more matchups between these two squads, as it has been delivering so far in this best of 3. Taking another look at this one, Xiaohu with an aggressive teleport, but gets immediately spotted out by Knight.
Oh yeah, Shun just completely has his number right there. Knight says, deleted, presses the outplay button, and the rest of this fight is just so hard to navigate. You have the most unkillable character in the game. Well, it doesn't matter if you can't die if none of your teammates can kill the opposition. So we're going to have BLG with the trifecta grapes. That's the Baron, that's the Elder, and that's the Dragon Soul. If you can't win a game with the trifecta, then you can't win a game at all.
We know what they haven't done. They haven't killed JJ yet. He's still 0 death.
True, that's true, low-key.
That's going to be the biggest challenge of them all, potentially. Maybe even more than winning the game. We see a Guardian Angel not picked up for Viper. Knight has gotten extremely fed at this point in the game as well. Sitting with that Death Cap alongside a Cosmic Drive. Going to be throwing out scatters like it's nobody's business. Teleport comes in with the Spellbook of On. You have Bin currently holding things down in the bottoms lane, but he has a TP to join a fight if it ends up breaking out.
Yeah, typically with the Baron, you want to play multiple lanes. The hook goes wide here. Yeah, you can't really just siege one lane. It's too easy for them to clear the wave. So that's why Bin is delivering this mid wave here. He can sync this up with this imminent top wave, and this is going to be a really hard push to answer with all his Baron buffed minions. With all the buffs that BLG is wearing right now, you can see they just have to seed these towers. They have to play at their Nexus. There's still over a minute of this Elder Dragon remaining.
Hope for Weibo, you can wait one more wave, hold it a little bit longer, and maybe that Elder Dragon buff will have expired by then. But it's going to be a tough task as there are still minions marching into the Nexus turrets now. 2 inhibitors already taken down. Weibo looking to avoid a game number 3, and BLG trying to force that decider. The first Nexus tower in severe danger and now taken down. Death Sentence lands onto JJ, and Bin is approaching Mega Gnar at level 19, looking to pull the trigger, and he will dash forward and land a 2-man Gnar. But on the back end of things, Zika is still forcing away, and JJ is healing up a storm. The Nexus becomes the target, and that will be BLG. Sending us to game 3.
Yeah, BLG looked like they might have had a way to lose this series 2-0, but they said, no, sir, not today. They found a way to even out this series, and they're taking us to that beloved game 3.
Playstyle, but what can the rest of the composition look like? Only time will tell. As we load onto the river, our final game of the night. It's been a great triple header here on LPL English. What a way to open up the 2026 season. BLG and Weibo, one more game to determine who will pick up this crucial win.
Now, it is very interesting, actually, that Elk has elected for the teleport this game. I suppose he just feels like he's going to win out on this landing phase either way. Viper choosing to take Cleanse just because, I mean, the enemy team has Braum. Braum passive can just be way too powerful sometimes where it feels like you do kind of need the Cleanse. That should actually mean that Weibo has a much better time down here because Viper's secondary summoner spell is not very useful, whereas Elk's can be extremely useful if he uses it effectively, just recalling and TPing back and such. So that's definitely advantageous overall for Weibo. And one thing I also want to touch on is just because the enemy team has Vi, and it can be really frustrating for Talia or for Misfortune, you do actually have a lot of champions to help disrupt the Vi. Like, Vi might ult on top of you, but at least Alistar can then do something about that.
Yep.
And wow, I feel like this is probably why they drafted Cassio, I guess, because he's literally zoning Knight away from XP right now and forcing this lane state to be the way he wants it to be. So yeah, maybe there's a reason we're picking Cassio so early. It's just Xiaohu knows what he's doing on this.
We often, I mean, start of the show, we hyped up Knight, won his 6th championship last summer, the most winningest player in LPL history, but I think Xiaohu certainly deserves to be in that conversation as well. Sure, maybe his play last season was not up to par to somebody like Knights, who won that MVP award and was one of the stronger players that we had all year, but in terms of legacy, in terms of performance and ability to come up in these big moments, certainly is somebody that is always going to have to be in that same conversation. And it's been a fun actual back and forth between these two players. Not something we necessarily were expecting, but Xiaohu has come to play overall in this best of 3. Of course, he had that crucial mistake on the Aurora that got him caught out and allowed for BLG to win this game, or win that second game. But overall, has not made it easy for a player like Knight today.
Yeah, I want to give a special shout out to a Twitch chatter and Twitter user by the name of Popsley, who has just been praising Xiaohu nonstop for it feels like years now, saying that Xiaohu just deserves so much more recognition, so much more flowers, so much more praise, and that he's just the most unsung hero of all time, that he can literally be compared to the likes of Faker, the likes of Knight, the likes of, all those top players, and that just for some reason Xiaohu just doesn't get the credit he deserves. And hey, maybe he's right, maybe he might have some kind of a point here. Maybe Xiaohu just is the secret GOAT of the LPL, because he's really been giving the Knight a run for his money tonight. So we'll see if this Cassiopeia Xiaohu can carry this game.
Should force in a flash out of Zika. Again, we're not expecting the top lane to be too much of a factor early on, but getting that summoner spell always going to be useful if you're a player like Bin. I feel like we've seen a bit of a transition in Bin's career, at least in terms of last year. He started off actually on the team that ended up becoming Weibo in Suning, going all the way to that World Finals, always the big carry player. But he's been more willing to go towards these weak side picks, be a little bit more on an island like this Scion, and it's gone well for BLG. I mean, obviously winning that last split.
Yeah, from my perspective of Bin, is he was always just the absolute god when it came to those split push kind of carry champs. Remembering he got that pentakill on Fiora in the World Finals, and ever since then being regarded as, deservingly so, like pretty much the best Jax in the world. But yet we just haven't been really able to see Bin on some of those champions lately. Even, I know the season just begun, but even at the end of last season, he's just kind of been on this just tank duty. Like, he's just totally willing to play weak side and bite the bullet so his teammates can shine. And you got to respect someone like that, He even picked up Rumble. That was a champion who wasn't in his champion pool, a few years back. But a couple years ago, he kind of spent as much time as it took to master that champion. And Bin is just a really, really respectable top laner. His career has been very successful, and he's been doing whatever it takes to win. And he's the kind of player where I'm pretty sure this guy is either going to win Worlds or he's going to put everything in his entire heart and soul into it. So I would like to see this guy go all the way.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you could consider last year to be a bit of a disappointment compared to what we're normally expecting from Bin, but he still won All Pros and was considered one of the better top laners in the league. Just not that same fully dominant form that we are so used to seeing Bin be in. Obviously, a new year, new teammates, potentially a new look for BLG. Perhaps a chance for a fresh start for Bin. Obviously, struggled a little bit in some of these laning phases against Zika, at least so far. But now has honestly used that opportunity to get a different skill set, to be able to play this weak side, and that's what BLG decided to go for here in this third game.
Yeah, and you just have to admire it, because I know there's a lot of top lane players who just say, nope, I refuse to play the tank. I need to be on a carry. I'm him. Like, how dare you put me on a tank? But Bin, on the other hand, he's just willing to do it, man. He cares that much. He's willing to do whatever it takes, and you got to give him respect for that. He's up against Zika here, one of the most prominent top laners in the whole league. These are probably, I mean, I don't know about you, Grips. Maybe I'm forgetting a few people, but I feel like these two probably have to be the best two tops in the league. There might be just be like a sort of a top 3, top 4 kind of situation, but these are definitely some of the best tops by far.
I'd say you could throw Flandra 369 into that mix as well.
Yeah, I like
that. It seems like a pretty much like a top 4, at least at this point. And it's really hard to gauge how exactly we were going to judge a player like Zika, because remember, he was kind of in purgatory last year. He was on LNG.
True.
That team was going nowhere the entire season, but he was still performing against these Group Nirvana opponents. We just didn't really get to see him do too much other than that. Now he's on a team with maybe some more competitive players, higher aspirations, like we are more used to seeing from him. And we're already seeing him go for a play potentially onto Bin. That Void Rush, he's going to not get knocked up by it, and so Bin will be able to get away.
Why did that feel like a movie scene right there?
Yeah.
What's going on up here?
We're having, you know, the Huya feeds not been the kindest to us today. We appreciate you all being here regardless, as now we get to look towards the bottom lane. And what a play from Night Viper and On. They get first blood onto Elk. They're going to get a second onto Era as well. And that is a massive play for BLG to open up this third game.
Yeah, and Knight finally does what we need Knight to do this game. He uses the Weaver's Wall to his team's advantage. And guess what? Once again, Viper is being funneled kills. This is exactly what you want as BLG. And, you know, I was just going to touch on just how well Cassiopeia, just how well Xiaohu was doing in this middle lane. Knight was just completely being set behind. But that's the whole thing with Talia. You can just drop a wave and just completely set your team up for success. He does exactly that, executes the play. And even Erha flashing away hopelessly, that's really not what you want to see as Weibo, and a huge upside for this early game, BLG.
Yeah, shout out to Knight. You know, falling behind in CS, but still understanding what he has to do to try to help his team in this game. Goes for that early roam, using the Weaver's Wall. A beautifully executed dive. Much better than what we saw earlier on in this series here, Fulls.
Yeah, and we're going to keep seeing this Weapon Noodle fight all game up there in the top lane. I feel like neither of them is probably going to end up dying. They're just going to be padding their damage stats until the real game starts for them. But yeah, this is definitely a dead Talia.
JJ returning the favor, and with an exclamation point at that. Knight had no chance. Xiaohu on the board for Weibo.
I feel like this is actually way better for Weibo than you might think, because the thing with Talia is you kind of got to add in like one side lane death into the quota. Like no matter what, it feels like the Weaver's Wall is just going to be netting you a side lane kill, whether it's top, whether it's both of them in the bot lane. But when the Cassio, who is the much stronger overall champion, just given the toolkit she has to just do ridiculous amounts of damage, if she's getting a 700 gold lead Grapes, regardless of the fact Talia has a kill, oh man, this Cassiopeia is going to be a problem, I tell you.
Yeah, and against the Xin Zhao specifically, even somebody like On denying potentially his ability to go in with Lat Miasma. Big tool available here for Weibo, as Xiaohu will certainly be able to generate a lot of space and be a very big problem in some of these later game fights. We approach the 10-minute mark of this game. First Dragon secured by Weibo. They also got 2 of the first 3 grubs, but BLG still in control of the gold. Top lane CS certainly working in their favor, and the bot lane going Viper's way after that 2v2 kill.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally understandable for MF to have this gold lead and for Cassio to have this gold lead, but Sion having this gold lead, that just seems like it's just naturally happening due to Bin just playing a slight bit better than Zika. I feel like this is a relatively even matchup that honestly a lot of people are the ones picking Rek'Sai into the Sion. So if Sion is generating a 600 gold lead all by himself up there, that's a really big lead, Grapes. That could definitely have a huge impact on this game. I don't think it's supposed to be that big.
Had some help from Xun as well, forcing some pressure away from Zika, but yeah, Bin, the fact he was able to proxy a couple of waves, get away by using his ultimate before Zika was able to, finish him off with a kill of his own. Definitely a good situation has opened up for the BLG top laner. Zika's going to get some of this back by taking 2 of these plates. He's able to get 1 more auto off.
That helps a lot.
And so that's going to at least try to equalize things a bit. But the rest of the map, now Weibo looking to establish positioning around this second dragon.
Yeah, On ghosting in with the spellbook. Looks like they really want Era here.
Gonna get hit up by here, the seismic shove as well. A lot of crowd control has found the Braum, just perfectly executed. And now Ozzy to find a knock him on the Xiao as well. He flies with a petrifying gaze, but finds nobody as everyone was looking away. BLG get 2 more kills, and they're gonna get this dragon as well.
Yeah, and I hope everybody else in the chat was looking away too, because that is just not at all what you want to see. That was extremely ugly there from Xiaohu. That's a huge mistake. That's going to cost them dearly. Losing the dragon, losing all of the lead he pretty much had practically. That is a huge blunder. Flash is down as well. And I really thought that Weibo had a pretty solid chance of securing this Drake, but I think On, just with this Spellbook Ghost, is just able to catch up to Era, set up this Seismic Shove, and yeah, it's just chopped from there. I mean, Xiaohu has Flash here, and just the way he uses it is just... Yeah.
Just very much. I mean, you can give credit to On. He played the fight pretty well. He's been on point so far this game. Huge positioning error by Xiaohu. Not only to be caught in that pulverize in the first place, but then flashing in and missing everybody with his ultimate. That was not it. And again, some of that inconsistency from Xiaohu that we saw over this past year that has had people questioning what he's been able to do so far this, as the mid laner for Weibo.
Yeah, no, as a pro player, you have to be able to forget about that. You need to have that selective amnesia, if you will. Just forget about your mistakes, move on. It doesn't matter how you got to where you are where you are. You have to proceed from there. You have to always have that can-win mentality. He does still have a gold lead. He does still have a lead overall against Knight. He needs to work to that. He needs to work that to his advantage, but I'm honestly pretty worried about their prospects here, Grips. They've got Ezreal into Sion, and I don't know if you guys have really seen some of these Ezreal mains complain about the amount of damage they deal to tanks, but they are not too happy about it. And I mean, even if this Cassio is somewhat ahead, this Sion can just build like a Force of Nature or something, one of these really ridiculously strong magic resist items, and then Cassio will deal negative damage to him too, and he'll just be completely unkillable.
Speaking of Cassio, Knight comes in with the teleport looking to try to punish Xiaohu, but JJ is right in the perfect position. Takes down Knight once again, and Weibo able to answer and at least stabilize the game for now.
That is exactly why you need to always keep playing. Just because you make a mistake does not mean you're down for the count. He completely finds a huge play. That's the kind of death that's going to cost Knight a lot. You realize, I'm pretty sure he just lost his flash that play. The amount of gold, the amount of XP that's just being sunk to these towers right now while he's just dead and has nothing to do but watch. That's going to cost him a lot. And, you know, it's pretty interesting to see. This Cassiopeia has some boot scrapes. Welcome to Season 16.
Yep. I was so used to making, you know, you hear those jokes all the time. Yeah, you know, the snakes don't have, like, whatever. Why did Corky have boots or something like that? Not anymore. No longer. As it's just a part of... It would be pretty unfair if everybody in the mid lane got this awesome new quest completion except for Cassiopeia because of the kit. So they changed it up a little bit. Gonna have some additional move speed built into the kit, of course, but yeah, fun situation here for Season 16. One of the fun new changes, and yeah, lot more to continue to break down as we open up this season.
Oh yeah, and I will mention that this particular boots right here, the Crimson Lucidity, is really effective on Cassio because her new passive is actually that she gets an increased benefit from movement speed buffs. And in addition to that, Cassiopeia procs the Crimson Lucidity movement speed buff almost better than any other champ because the more recently you dealt damage to someone is the more movement speed duration you're going to have. It's kind of like the Blackfire Torch Cosmic Drive thing we've been seeing on Syndra, where like you hit someone one time and you get like 7 seconds of movement speed. Well, Cassiopeia's Poison is the same thing. You just hit someone once and you're going to get like 7 seconds of movement speed from that Crimson Lucidity. So that's a really effective item on her, and she gets increased benefit from that movement speed. Rek'Sai burning the flash here, by the way.
Knight certainly not as strong as we were maybe hoping him to be in this
Oh?
game. He traps Zika with the Weaver's Wall and sets up for On to land a little bit of crowd control with this combo. The Seismic Shove lands as well. Zika unable to use that Void Rush because he has not hit Knight recently enough, but he buys enough time for JJ to once again join the fight and target Knight for the third time this game. But
No
Jun
way.
and On come to the rescue this time around, and the Crescent Guard sends JJ to his doom.
And Knight, what was that, man? Oh my, I've never seen something like that. I mean, I actually don't think I ever have. He literally Weaver's walled the guy into the exact corner of the map where he just could not even move, and used that as a way to buy enough time where he's able to live on a sliver of HP, and actually BLG gets a kill out of that. Wow, I mean, I thought that was an overzealous flash out of Zika, but I did not realize that Knight was able to come up with such a clever counterplay to punish that that aggression out of Zika. Really well played from Knight on the Talia here.
Not having himself the best game that he's ever had, obviously. Died a couple of times too many, getting potentially caught out again. But the way he's able to navigate this sticky situation is why he is one of the better players that we've ever seen in this region.
Yeah, I mean, this was super creative. I think Zika probably should have went a little more north there, so he's not trapped at the very south corner of the map like that. But yeah, and then On being here, able to provide all the peel Knight needs, and then you just can't reach this Talia anymore. She's just throwing rocks at you non-stop, and really good peel from On here. Flash exhausting the Vi. You know, he kind of misses the pulverize at the end there, but you get just enough of the job well done to keep your boy alive, and it's those kind of plays that make all the difference in the world. Again, just because you have some deaths on the scoreboard, just because you have some mistakes made, you should always be doing your best. Knight does his best right there, and boy does it ever matter.
So BLG up now 1,000 gold with this next dragon available. Neither team fully committing to it as it spawns. Something that we haven't really noted, at least recently. Viper generating a pretty significant lead over Elk at this point in the game. Has that second item completed with the Collector and Bloodthirster now in stow. It's going to make this a very, very powerful point in the game for Bilibili Gaming. They have 2 items on their AD carry. Knight continuing to make some nice plays. And just a big gap right now in that bot lane department. If Elk's going to want to come to play in Game 3, it's probably not going to be around this dragon fight right now.
Yeah, Viper's items are really strong. Those are expensive items, and you know, with that quest complete, he's just going to be generating all that much more gold. He's going to be able to round out his inventory even sooner. This Ezreal needs still 36 stacks to get that mana immune into that Muramana, and until then, he's just going to be quite a bit weaker than this MF. So I would imagine that BLG is just going to get this dragon based off of that fact alone, and that's going to mean they're pretty poised to carry away this mid game in their favor and snowball the game to victory. I mean, you're going to need some kind of a advantage as Weibo soon here. It feels like a lot of the more recent plays have been going BLG's way.
Absolutely. I mean, the 2 plays have been picks on tonight, which are great, but nobody else really has been affected by that. You're seeing Bin have a fine time up in the top side, and Viper and On certainly far ahead in their own right as well. See, again, just the nothingness of this top lane battle that we're having so far, but honestly, when you get to a later portion of the game, you'd imagine that Sion could be more valuable in a team fight as to somebody like Zika.
Yeah, the Sion is just one of the most powerful tank champions in the game. He has been for what feels like forever, and I'm pretty sure he's sitting on an insane amount of gold right now. He's had this Sunfire Cape Bramble Vest for it feels like 5 minutes. And I mean, that's what's so OP about these top champs. You just don't even need to recall, man. You guys just literally stare at each other and just keep farming, and that's life. And so we'll see what he decides to shop with here. I'd imagine he gets something pretty good. Yeah, he gets the full Thornmail. That's going to be a pretty big spike. Now he's got the Null Magic Mantle as well, so Xiaohu's not too concerning. And yeah, that's just the thing is these 80 carries get the extra inventory slot, and well, Cassiopeia doesn't anymore. You know what I mean? Now that she has to buy the boots, you don't scale into this really godlike character with 6 items where you can have a Void Staff and a Leandries and a Rylai's and a Death Cap. You kind of have to pick one less item now. So I would imagine that that just means in the late game, Cassiopeia is going to have a much harder time dealing with Sion.
In this crucial Game 3, after Weibo took game number 1 in a pretty dominating fashion and then heartbreakingly lost that second game, who's going to step up for them? They're down 1,500 gold. certainly have some of these odds against them in terms of just the way that these compositions scale into the later game. Will it be Xiaohu, who generated that early lead but has struggled to hold on to it since then? Or will it be Elk, player against his former team, spent so much time with the likes of Shun, of Knight, of Bin, of On. Now on the other side of things, on this Ezreal, now has those two items, but going up against a very strong champion in Viper in his own right.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult to kill this Scion Grapes. I mean, as I mentioned with the Casio not having the same late game power, there's just no other champion on Weibo who's going to be able to kill him in the late game. I mean, Ezreal, sure, you can have a Shojin and a Cyrilda and an extra item slot. That's great, but Scion is still going to be Scion, man. He currently has like 1,100 extra hit points. And I mean, on top of his actual hit points, he must have 4,000 or 5,000 right now. So yeah, I mean, a true shot barrage is doing nothing. An Ezreal Mystic shot's going to do what, like 200 damage at most? Probably less. So maybe if you hit him with like 30 Ezreal Qs, he might die. But come on, that's not going to happen. So I really don't like that.
Aggressive Weaver's Wall combined with that bullet time is going to force Elk to Arcane Shift away. Also burns the flash. However, 2 ultimates used for just that summoner spell. That means that BLG aren't going to be able to fight over that for very much longer.
Yeah, I mean, Ezreal does have the Lucid Boots. He might even have the Cosmic Insight, so his flash cooldown should be a bit lower than 5 minutes, but that's definitely a good trade for BLG there. It's going to open up Elk as a target.
Now on, going to look for Zika here, combined with Bin. Canceling the ulti after he immediately sees that summoner spell burn. Mission accomplished overall into the top side for BLG. But now Weibo going to answer by pulling away some damage onto this mid lane tier 1. And On could be in some danger as well. He has to use that headbutt to get away from the opposition, as Weibo now will control both the mid lane and the top side jungle of Bilibili.
Yeah, again, another ult for flash trade there. Weibo slowly being whittled away here in the summoner spell department. And that's just going to mean that this Ocean Drake standoff should be more favorable for BLG, as they do have all 5 of their flashes up. And there are some pretty good champs at using them, particularly the Alistar. So we'll see if Elk or Zika can get punished for that flash expenditure.
Gold lead evaporated off of that sequence. A really nice set of events for Weibo to get gold back into the hands of their carries. Xiaohu now with that Seeker's Arm Guard going to be even stronger. Looking for that 3rd item for Elk. Not there just yet, but we are quickly approaching it with this dragon spawning in about 30 seconds. If Weibo don't feel confident about this one, they can hold and wait until the eventual Soul Drake. They feel like their carries would be at a stronger position, but Foles at this point, wouldn't be super surprised to see them look for something on the aggressive end.
I mean, yeah, but that's the thing with those components for Elk right now versus the Infinity Edge for Viper. That's night and day. This Tunneler and this pickaxe doesn't do anything for you, whereas the Shojin gives you the 25 haste. You need that 25 haste and that Shojin stacking passive to actually keep up with this MF right now. So there's a huge discrepancy in the 80 carries power level right now. I really feel like BLG is going to push the envelope.
Oh, Xiaohu could be in some danger. The Miasma doesn't stop the Scion ult, but there's a big amount of damage being issued back. Seismic Shove connects, and Viper lands another crucial kill onto the Snake Lady, and BLG are right back onto the board. Flash in on a 2 Elk. He has to Arcane Shift away, but BLG are collapsing. They get their 2nd kill of the fight, and screw that dragon. They're going to go right to Baron Nashor and take it down.
Yeah, and this should be checkmate in terms of securing the Baron, not necessarily the Nexus, don't get me wrong, but yeah, as Xiaohu there, he pressed all 3 of his important buttons, the Miasma, the Petrifying Gaze, actually the Flash and the Zonias. That's 4 buttons, and all 4 of them were useless scripts. I don't know what configuration of buttons it was supposed to press, but I promise you it was not this. And this is just such a costly error. It's such a big deal. And now they're going to lose the entire Baron, the entire potential series off of that positioning right there.
And then, really nice play from On. He's had a great game, taking down his former teammate once more. The clarity in his brain to walk forward, even as Elk is getting knocked up, to make sure he can continue to issue those rumble steps with his E, land that stun, despite the Arcane Shift coming through. Really, really good stuff here from On, who is showing up in this Game 3 on the Alistar.
Yeah, I know we had a question before going into this series of who was the better half of the duo. Was it On or was it Elk? And it looks like On is trying to prove that he is the correct answer to that question. He just has Elk's number this series right there, just completely playing better than him, getting him out there. And, you know, Elk having no flash from the previous play does come back to bite him. And, man, I just can't help but dwell on this Casio. That was the second massive error in terms of the inputs out of Xiaohu there. You remember he had the flash in place before. Now he has the use all 4 buttons incorrectly. Like, oh man, Xiaohu Casio, I thought we would have, I mean, it was going so well when he was outplaying Knight in the laning phase, but unfortunately Knight impacting the map and Xiaohu just not being able to play this champion to the fullest potential. And it's problems across the board here for Weibo.
BLG now going to fully capitalize on it. They're pushing in 2 lanes, of course getting those extra plates. Thank you, Season 16. And is going to try to extend their gold lead a little bit further in the next 75 seconds or so. Xiaohu was able to push on the top side a little bit, not take down the full tower, but at least get a couple of plates back. But right now, it is BLG in complete control of this game, looking poised to earn their first win in terms of the series in 2026.
Yeah, and as mentioned in draft, I love the way Viper is itemizing here. We saw he had the tunnel on the previous base. Now he picks up the serrated Dirk, which clearly means he's going to be going for that Edge and Knight, just so that he's that much more difficult of a target to access with the Vi ult, with some of this backline threat that they can offer with perhaps Rek'Sai, or even Braum somehow applying the passive onto him. But yeah, now that he's going to nearly have that Edge and Knight, he's just going to be so difficult to kill. Flash, Cleanse, Edge of Night, infinite move speed. Alistar has exhaust, heal, bandle pipes. I mean, this MF is just such a force to be reckoned with right now, and I don't think Weibo has an answer.
They have a decent amount of wave clear, though, with the help of Xiaohu's Casio. Of course, Elk going to be able to provide some value as well in terms of finishing off these cannon creeps that have that additional range with the Baron buff. And speaking of that Baron buff, one more wave is all it will be. Maybe BLG are able to get this tier 2. Maybe Weibo can find some sort of answer here. The Weaver's Wall has come out as Knight joins the 4v4 around this top side. Era tries to go forward with the Unbreakable. He gets stunned a little bit too early. Ends up being forced to pop that Glacial Fissure. Viper gets to 30% HP, but there's really no threat for his life at this point, as BLG end up getting that tower and finishing off what was a very successful Baron power play.
Yeah, this feels pretty bad as, like, for example, Elk here, you look at the scoreboard, and there's just a level 18 Scion with, what, like 7,000 HP? Like, how on earth are you ever going to kill this guy as Elk right now? I mean, it just feels so difficult. I've been feeling this a lot, just looking at the scoreboard, seeing these high-level top laners. He's pushing level 19 right now, Grapes. He's got like 1,600 extra HP. Yep. He's even got the Jock Show so that his resistances will be ridiculously high as well. I mean, if Bin dies this game, maybe BLG can lose, but I just don't even think that's a possibility at this point.
Not for a while. I mean, take a look at Xiaohu's items. Very defensive at this point. Seraphs, Rylai's, Zanya's, no pen items because he went for the Lucidity boots as well. Not really a situation where him or Elk at this point are going to be doing any significant damage to the front line of BLG, let alone the fact that there's an Alistar and a Xin Zhao there to also add to what is already a very tanky team, all things considered. Viper and Knight continue to push forward as well. We're waiting for this next dragon to spawn at 45 seconds, tied it to a piece, so not a soul-defining Drake for either team. You'd believe that Weibo are going to be inclined to give that one up.
Yep, Viper's got the Edge of Night, so he's a bit more difficult of a target. I say that, and bye-bye goes the spell shield thanks to LXW, but he's got that in tow right now. On with a bit of a look here. Pretty scuffed.
Airhot lands 2 knockups with that Glacial Fissure, but that's all that they're really going to get at this point. You see the top laners currently battling on the top side of the map. The dragon is about to spawn in 15 seconds time. Shun hunting Elk with those Wind Becomes Lightnings, trying to find some sort of an engage onto the Ezreal, who still is very powerful at this point with that third item being completed. However, BLG certainly in the driver's seat now as this dragon spawns. Teleport coming in from both top laners. And
look at these shields. Look at these shields.
The objective up first.
Yeah, these top laner shields are just going to be insane, Grapes. I don't think these champions can die.
Shun looking to dash in, try to maybe pick up a bit of a steal of this dragon. Gonna be a full 50-50 actually, as they both get into the pit, and it's secured by the Xin Zhao. Soul point for BLG, but can they escape after the initial fight? Guardian Angel has been procced by Shun. He should most likely be taken down, and that is one big kill going over to Weibo Gaming in place of the Drake.
You know, I really thought this Scion with a 30% HP shield was just going to show up, just be the biggest menace of all time, and that fight was going to be over before it started. But we actually have ourselves a bit of a game here right now. I really think Weibo has a chance of outplaying them here and getting the Baron or getting some kind of an ace or something. I mean, it's really tough, but it's possible.
Well, looks like they won't have a smite on BLG's side, but a big petrifying gaze from Xiaohu is going to let Allen down very, very low. Elk shifts over, but the bullet time nearly takes him down. Scion is doing a bunch of damage, but he will not be able to kill the Ezreal. Weibo able to win out on the fight. They get both of the 2 kills onto the Talia and the Alistar, and only Bin is left still standing.
No way.
Get taken down by the mites of Jeje, and it's Weibo Gaming to make their way towards the Baron.
You've got to be kidding me. I thought this game was like so over, but out of just nowhere, Weibo has the upper hand. They're going to get the Baron. They're going to have a gold lead. Elk's on 4 items. He actually kind of does some damage now, and Xiaohu apparently does some too. The Scion actually died. And it's all because Shun gets caught out in the pit right there. I think it was a miasma in the dragon pit. But look at this look here. Xiaohu with this cheeky flank into the petrifying gaze. Forces Viper to flash away. It looked like Elk was just going to get one tap by the bullet time, which he kind of was stuck inside of. But he barely is able to squeak it out to the other side. And look at this. Concussive blows onto the Scion right before Elk dies. He was 1 frame away from dying. Gets that stun off. Guess what? Elk has TP, recalls on 1% HP, and guess what? That means Weibo Gaming somehow, some way gets the Baron this game.
It's been a bit more of a muted Game 3, but it has been back and forth. It has been exciting nonetheless here, Fulls. Well, 1 Baron per side. We've gotten 5 Dragons, currently split 3-2. Only 13 kills, but it might be a whole lot more in the next few minutes as Weibo suddenly are able to make this push with the Baron buff in their hands. Gold in their hands for the first time in quite a while, with the top side of the map certainly benefiting in a large way. You see, of course, Elk approaching that 5th item now. Xiaohu working his way towards the Void Staff. Things are starting to look up for Weibo, but you have to admit, the only reason they were able to win that fight is because Shun ended up completely throwing his life away to make sure they get that dragon.
Yeah, I mean, Shun's supposed to be able to flash out there or something. Again, I do think it was because of Xiaohu's miasma that they caught him out of the GA. But yeah, I mean, if it's just a typical 5v5, I feel like BLG was supposed to be in good shape. But now with these inventories, I think Weibo can certainly match them in the 5v5.
Here goes initial engage. Bin going for Xiaohu, not landing the knockup, but the seismic shove from Knight is massive, landing onto 2 members of Weibo. Xiaohu the most important, and that will take away any hope of a Baron push to end the game for Weibo.
It's the exact same story. Xiaohu just being super far up. No way of evading the unstoppable onslaught from Side. That's another pick.
But Shun is going to follow him straight to the grave. A 3rd kill picked up here for BLG. And now it is Zika looking to try to split push his way to potentially saving the series for his team.
Are they trying to end mid?
2 members available on the map right now for Weibo. They're going to have to get Zika back and try to save this game. It's 5 for BLG. We'll try to end the series here.
The Avengers are coming mid. I don't know if Weibo can stop this right now.
It's 15 seconds onto Xiaohu. That is all the time that Zika, Jeje, and Erha will need to buy. Slow will land onto Erha in the knockup as well. A wave is pushing in. Baron buff in the hands of some of these players, but it might not be enough. Zika gets knocked back with a seismic shove, but will stay alive. Xiaohu comes in, looking to try to save the game for BLG. They're looking for Viper. They end up taking him down, but will it be enough? Guardian Angel already popped. and now Zika could be in some trouble alongside
Here
JJ.
comes
He gets
Elk.
knocked up. That's gonna be it. Bin still unkillable into this game, but Elk has come back, looking to
Let him
try to
cook.
take his former team down underneath his own Nexus. Crescent guard popped by Shun. Elk still remains untouched here on the back line. Nobody from BLG wanting to go in on him just yet. There's the one becomes lightning. He shifts away from the audacious charge, and Zika has come back in with a full set of HP.
Wow.
Going in with the ulti. Void Rush onto On, but he will not fall. Zika still able to dash away. One Nexus tower still left standing. Era eventually drops. Nobody on BLG will die, and Elk might have to watch his former team end the game before his very eyes. Knock up onto 2, and that's gonna do it. BLG were standing at death's door, but they come all the way back, down to the Nexus of Weibo, and pick up their first win of 2026.
Wow, just wow, that was just such cinema. I mean, from the crazy picks that they're able to find themselves on in Xiaohu in the top lane, getting those 3 kills onto